Well, to talk more about this and all the challenges and the changes in the newspaper publishing business, we're joined now by the CEO of Newspaper Works, Tony Hale. Tony, really appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much for joining us.
Lovely to be here, Brian.
Well, just firstly, we've now seen the Herald Sun, James, launch this freemium model coming soon, and again there'll be this free trial as well. What do we know about it?
We don't know a lot yet. They're going to introduce a free 2-month period. There's no indication about prices yet, but you can bet there'll be a fair bit of AFL content because it'll sort of, coincide with the launch of the footy season. That's a massive driver for the newspaper. So yeah, I think then we'll see some prices, and I think it might get a good thing. But newspapers are still hedging their bets on sort of free stuff, paying stuff, and it can confuse the market a bit, So, and we could maybe ask Tony. I mean, you spend a lot of time with your members.
Yeah.
They're all grappling with this challenge, I guess, of where to go.
Well, I think there's a couple of things going on. There's no doubt that the traditional print version is under pressure, and that's not just structural, it's cyclical. The economy is tough and it's hard to generate the dollars. But while that is going, and all the measurements on the print version, they don't tell the total audience for newspapers who are migrating large audiences across online, mobile and tablet already. And you've already seen that Fairfax have announced some of the numbers that they're engaging on those versions, which are quite impressive, even in the early days. So look, I think the one thing that the newspapers have found, it's not very hard to get audiences. They're getting audiences well. People are attracted to the mastheads, they're attracted to the coverage that they're giving. What they're still wrestling with is the best way to make money out of those audiences.
Are you looking at some of the trends that we're seeing in terms of circulation and also readership? I mean, there seems to be some different trends also emerging sometimes when you get the data through. How do you explain that?
Well, look, most people will say that there's not a direct relationship between circulation and readership. But when you're getting diverging trends, and one seems to show some long-term trend one way and another showing a long-term trend the other way, you've got to question the figures a little bit. But look, whatever readership you're doing, we've got to remember that readership is an estimate. It is the circulation, it is an audited figures, and you're using very sophisticated methodology to assess readership. And the one that we're building, we've got 4 months of data now. It's showing stability, which is good. It'll be interesting to see how that unfolds over the ensuing months as we continue to develop and investigate the data that we've now got.
The national newspapers seem to be holding up relatively well. I mean, we've probably only got 2 of them, I guess, the Australian and the Financial Review, but are they sort of able to wear out this period a bit better than their sort of Metro Daily counterparts? Well,
if you have a look at the numbers, there certainly are in terms of circulation and readership. They're not doing too bad. Both got reasonably good numbers in the results. I haven't seen the actual revenue that they're writing. I would imagine from a revenue perspective, they're still under a lot of pressure, just like the other papers are, just like all media is.
Sure.
Just looking at the state of play, you mentioned there the Readership Works, this new readership measurement system. With the data, I mean, there had been some reports that perhaps we would get a read from you next month, perhaps. Is that incorrect then?
Well, yeah, we've never said that. I mean, there's a lot of speculation out into the market when we might release the initial numbers. But look, we wouldn't release them until we were totally happy with them, till we believed they were completely accurate and they were stable. 4 months of data is a considerable database, but it'd be premature to talk about any numbers just yet. So we won't commit to a date. We get a time. We will get a good chance to do this, and we'll do it properly. I mean, the good thing is that we're getting measurements out of this metric that are not available at the moment.
Might you wait till you've got a full 12 months set of figures so you can give out a year-on-year comparable?
I think that's likely, but we might do updates beforehand. Typically you need 12 months database to do it, and then once you're getting in from beyond there, you're getting trending information, which most media agencies would like. They like the trending information. That gives a sense of how individual mastheads are going. But whether we release stuff for interrogation beforehand, we'll make that decision at some time down in the future.
Your empire's grown a bit bigger since we last had you on the show. You've got
well, not yet, James.
But you've merged with Pamper and a couple of other industry bodies. How's that all going? And do you have a a bigger remit now with a lot more members?
Yes, we do have a remit. Look, the steps involved are underway. We haven't merged with anybody yet, but the directors, which are the CEOs of the newspaper publishers, I believe made a very good decision in December when they decided to incorporate the roles currently performed by other industry associations into the newspaper works. It gives the industry one voice, one board, and an ability to steer the real priorities and the direction of the industries at a pretty volatile time.
We've been hearing from a number of the big newspaper publisher CEOs today talking about how the trading conditions are very difficult. That's likely to continue.
Yep.
What are you seeing in terms of your smaller members as well, smaller publishers? Are they facing even worse times?
Well, if you delve into the figures, and it'll be interesting to see when CESA results come out. They should be out within the next month. But I think you'll find that the regional papers have actually been trading more solidly than the metro papers. They've been quite flat, and that's a pretty good result for anybody. I haven't seen the last 12 months figures, but I expect them to be at or about flat. They might be down 1 or 2%, but in these conditions it's a very strong result. And look, some of them are getting really good growth in areas that people don't associate with newspapers, such as jobs and real estate, and they're getting good growth in those areas. But once again, it's dictated largely by the economy for the community in which they operate. If the economy's doing well, they do well. If the economy's under a lot of pressure, newspapers will be under pressure.
All right, and just lastly as well, of course, we've seen the News International announcement that the Sun on Sunday is going to launch this weekend, James.
Yeah, and I guess it's good to have another Sunday newspaper in the market, I guess, but it's not a new launch, it's replacing the News of the World, I guess, but it creates a lot of noise, doesn't it? And it still makes the point that newspapers still have a very big role to play in the community.
I think they do. You know, a lot of people are talking about the demise of the printed newspapers, somewhat overlooking the fact that even in this country, you get 18.5 million of them bought by people every single week. It's a lot of people, and that's why, you know, PwC estimate that circulation revenues from newspapers is about $1.3 billion a year. It's a substantial amount that people are putting in their pocket to buy newspapers every week.
Tony, great to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Stay with us. Coming up on Media Week, we'll be joined by former magazine editor Sarah Oakes, telling us about her new venture with Fairfax, the women's lifestyle website Daily Life.